Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Dreamwalker Tarot. My name is Dawn, and this is the November reading for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Mars. Please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for post notifications. For this first spread, I will be using the Magic and Mediums Oracle deck created by Aniel Reed and illustrated by Ash Colored. The first card that came out for you, Libra, is Taboo. And Taboo is basically talking about certain ideas, cultural ideas, societal ideas, or religious ideas or customs that are looked upon in a negative way, depending on the society that you live in and the society that you are raised in. And basically just what other people's opinions of it, or what the media puts on those practices, in terms of sort of demonizing them and making them looked upon with either a certain type of stigma, of fear, ostracization, to ostracize the people who participate in these particular acts, right? And so this is playing a factor in your life right now, where there is an aspect of yourself or a practice, whether it be religious or personal, spiritual or social, that is kind of looked upon negatively in society. And in the process of repressing that aspect of yourself, which you look at as a darker aspect of yourself, it is basically strengthening that dark side of yourself, and will eventually result in a state, an imbalanced state, where you might find it difficult to maintain an image of yourself. And so you might look at yourself in a different sort of way. So this card is asking that you really look at this particular aspect, whatever it might be, and kind of meditate on your view of it, and write down your reaction and list why you think that those ideas about that particular practice is coming up. Look at how strongly you feel about it, and allow yourself to question the beliefs that you carry surrounding this taboo in your life, because freeing yourself from it is just as simple as saying, you no longer want to hold on to what other people think about it, and really just kind of, move in a way where you're freeing yourself from any labels that you feel are placed on you because of it, and just allowing yourself to be free. Some of these things that this card could be talking about is repression of certain feelings or ideas, following like an orthodox type of religion that is different from the mainstream religion, wherever you might be, being politically correct. If you have a criminal record, or you were in jail at any point, or involved in the criminal justice system, and the stigmas attached to people who are coming out of the system, any type of mental health issues, any type of shadow that you might have, any type of double life that you might live that is not in accordance, living basically two lives, issues with being corrupt, gambling, stealing, sexual molestation, any type of betrayal or fetish that you might have. So this is the time to really look at those things and really kind of see what place they hold in your life, what place is it looked at by society, and figure out really what your reaction to is it for you personally, and how much of that has to do with the society that you live in, the culture that you were raised in, and basically freeing yourself from those limited type of beliefs. Okay. The second card that came up was a card of sacrifice. And initially, looking at this card, there is the essence of the moon present in this card, which is basically, I think, kind of referring back to the first card, which is the taboo card, which is about something that you might hold, or something that you might do that is outside of what people know you to be, practicing any type of taboo, that coming to the forefront. That is one way to look at the card. But also, the taboo is an act of surrendering of yourself or a possession as an offering to God, to God, or to a divine or supernatural figure, right? A lot of people basically give of themselves to the things that they believe in the hopes that this type of sacrifice, whether it be your time, whether it be your money, is going to help to aid you in transitioning into, getting favor in the spiritual realm. Kind of like how people practice Lent or fasting, or people who believe in tithing, giving 10% of their earnings to put themselves in a position to receive spiritual and material blessings. So these are things that you might consider doing, like tithing, giving back a portion of what you get materially back to God, or, to a church, to aid them in their wealth. And by giving up this, it's like losing attachment to something, and releasing your feeling of lack. Because once you give up, the idea is that you're opening yourself up to something more abundantly. You can volunteer your time, take time out of your week or your month to kind of help around in your neighborhood or your community, using your gifts to benefit someone else outside of yourself, right? And so the card basically is talking about basically just contributing, giving up your time. Some people might feel like blood sacrifices are something that people give. Practicing, being a philanthropist, setting up organizations, just working with someone outside of yourself, right? The idea is that the more that you invest of yourself, into something that's outside of yourself, you basically extend a portion of yourself out into the universe, allowing you to have an immediate impact upon things that are outside of yourself. And really also it does, in a sense, give you a really euphoric feeling, because it's not just about you. A lot of the times in our culture, we can tend to be a little bit selfish, and then giving back to others will kind of give you a sense of purpose, and devoting yourself to the advancement of something else that's outside of yourself. But that type of energy that you put out will also be returned back to you tenfold. And so the final card that came out for you, Libra, is the Learn card. And the Learn card is basically about gaining or acquiring a knowledge or a skill set by studying, by experience, or being taught. And so the idea of this card is that the things that have happened in your past really inform your present and also inform your future. And this is a card that basically talks about learning from the mistakes of the past, taking guidance and learning from those mistakes and those successes of those who have lived it, breaking past cycles and changing and healing the timelines for not only yourself, but also your future, i.e. your children, and also healing the trauma, the generational and ancestral trauma of people who have passed over in the ancestral realm. And so this is about working with your inner child, working with your ancestors in order to heal old ancestral wounds, family issues and dynamics that have basically been passed down, negative cycles that have been passed down through your family line that are unhealed, and working with your ancestors to basically release yourself and your family from generational trauma. So this is like, working with your ancestors. So lighting candles for them, meditating, and allowing yourself to be open and receptive to hearing messages from them, thinking about your childhood and the wounds that you developed during your childhood that you never healed or never dealt with, and kind of working through those so that those unhealed wounds can heal your ancestors in the ancestral realm, and also your lineage for the future. Your children that you will have in the future will also benefit from this healing. Okay, so I'm using the True Black Tarot deck for this portion of the reading and working with the Celtic Cross. The first card that came out in the position of what is currently happening is the page in reverse. And the page in reverse is represents a person or just the energy of opportunity, trying something new and exciting, right? This is a new venture. It could be a creative venture, starting on a new project, or it could also be kind of like taking a new step in a new direction, taking a risk, going on your own spiritual journey. That's something that you could be diving into kind of head first. The page is somewhat of a risk taker, is up to try anything new, and does have the tendency of pushing boundaries and setting off on a new path without really thinking about the dangers. Now, taking a risk is sometimes very essential to life. Trying new things is necessary, and also conquering your fears is something that we all should really strive to do. But that sense of adventure should also be kind of padded a little bit with a sense of being prepared. This page could be you, Libra, an aspect of yourself, or it could be an aspect of someone that is close to you, someone in your energetic field. It could also represent a child that's in your life, a child that is a fire sign, which would be a Leo, Sagittarius, or a Aries. What is crossing the page is the Three of Wands in reverse. The Three of Wands speaks about, again, this is like new energy, being excited about something. It could be travel. It could be, an adventure. There's also this conflict here about making two choices, whether to leave or to stay, whether to keep doing what you've been doing or to do something new, right? This Three of Wands energy is really someone is dead set on kind of embarking on a new adventure. There is a sense of excitement about something here. With this card in reversed, however, it kind of feels like whatever the plans are, and like I said, that could be going for traveling, making plans for the future, going back to school, just going on some sort of adventure. But with the card in the reverse, it seems that this sense of adventure that you are embarking on is kind of being delayed, right? So it could be being delayed by outside forces, or a hesitation on your part to move forward because of fear, because of being unsure. You might be placing types of self-limiting beliefs on yourself due to past experiences. There is a little bit of frustration attached to this delay. And also, too, there's this idea that you kind of feel overwhelmed. So for some of you, whatever this new venture is can kind of leave you feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and then second guessing yourself and doubting whether or not you're making the right decision. So I pulled some clarifying cards to kind of read a little bit more into this energy to see what is behind this energy. And I'm using the Hoodoo Tarot deck to do the clarification. And the cards that came out is the Ancestor card, the Aunt Caroline card, the Nine of Knives, the Ten of Sticks in reverse, and also the Eight of Baskets in reverse. Please keep in mind that in the beginning of the reading, in the first spread, the idea of the ancestors came up with the Learn card, right? So that could be attached to learning. It could be attached to studies. It could just be attached to, like I said, overall ancestral trauma and ancestral patterns. But the Ancestor card here is also a symbol for the Death card in the regular tarot deck, right? And so the card reading says that there is a happy baby is lying in a crib. Though her form is young, there is a part of her that is very old. The half of her face that is skeletal reflects this eternal connection with the ancestors. Ancestral veneration is one of the least discussed but most ubiquitous features of human life since time immemorial. immemorial. Though the aesthetics of ancestral veneration vary depending on the culture, there are a few people who feel comfortable with their dead just being dead. Instead, humans have created hundreds of other dimensions for their souls to inhabit, where they may or may not be accessible to the living. In Hoodoo, we may have access to any spirit of the dead if the deceased is willing and we are skilled enough to make and maintain contact. It is quite common in both indigenous American and African cultures to consult the ancestors via various methods of divination, channeling, or meditation. For those in the community who had the skill and the authority to do so, the death of family members was no excuse to begin excluding them from the affairs of the nation's rights and rituals, nor from accepting their input regarding the major life decisions of their living relations. In the traditional minds, neither time nor space could separate us from our kin. Ancestral veneration, however, is much deeper than lighting candles, attending a special event, or asking questions now and then. Ancestral veneration, in its most traditional sense, is supposed to inform our behavior on a daily and continual basis. It's about knowing, honoring, and defending one's bloodline. It's about personifying the most esteemed values of your foremothers and forefathers and doing one's best to add on positively to your family's legacy. It's about reflecting on and identifying how our parents' and grandparents' actions affected our lives and considering how our decisions could affect our great grandchildren tomorrow. Death is not a subject most Westerners or Western educated people like to discuss. It's an event that will happen to each and every one of us, yet it is considered morbid, weird, or here we go, taboo, to spend any time contemplating it. It cannot be spring, summer, or fall forever. Eventually, the end must come to make way for something new, and death is just the beginning of that something. So when the ancestor card turns up in a reading, you are being reminded that the only thing that is truly permanent is impermanence. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to mourn, but you must let go and life goes on. So if you receive the ancestors in a reading, consider the following. Every end is also a new beginning. The only thing that is constant is change. Put the past behind you and start over. Learn how to embrace the unknown. And do you know who your ancestors are? What does your lineage, ancestral heritage mean to you? And in what ways are you and your ancestors the same? And how are you different? Do you feel connected to them? Why or why not? Do you communicate with and or venerate your ancestors? If not, why not? Do genealogy research or create a family tree. The Aunt Caroline card is also a symbol for the Wheel of Fortune. In this card, she's standing in the doorway of her home in Neptune, surrounded by reporters. Caroline Dye, who died in 1918, was born into slavery in South Carolina before being relocated along with her parents to Arkansas. After being freed in 1865, she married and began her work as a cartomancer, throwing cards. Playing cards were her specialty. Aunt Caroline has been aware of her psychic gifts as a child, and she quickly earned a reputation as an effective and reliable counselor. Her clients were racially diverse, and it was not uncommon to see entire train cars of people disembarking in Newport to seek out her services. She was industrious. She sold meals to the crowds of people who waited for her, and she invested in land and property with the money that she earned. There's also a legend that she burned a cache of gold somewhere in the area, and after her death, many people tried to find the treasure, but were all unsuccessful. Aunt Caroline's skill and amazing rag to riches stories are two reasons why she became a legend. When Aunt Caroline appears in a reading, it is an indication that fate is a factor regarding whatever you are inquiring about. Rack your brain about what you or someone else could have done differently if you like, but the truth is that everything turned out exactly how it's supposed to. This can be a very hard pill to swallow in an age when people want to believe that their thoughts or choices always dictate the outcomes. The existence of a greater plan is not a welcome concept today because it implies vulnerability, which is automatically translated into weakness in the minds of many. We are used to images of people casually walking away in slow motion from explosions or crashing through windows without a scratch. We then want to be indestructible, unflappable people too. But this is not the movies. We know in real life that those characters most likely would have died in that raging inferno, and the window crasher would be blinded or cut to ribbons. The audience likes that these things didn't occur. They like the implication that the characters escaped or were cooler than what fate had planned for them. Aunt Caroline teaches us teaches us this way of thinking is a fantasy. No one can escape their fate, and incidents are no accidents. She also teaches us to expect the unexpected. This card may also be telling you is trying to tell you to understand why things are happening or why they turned out the way they did. You must consider the big picture. So in this reading, with Aunt Caroline, consider the following: is that you thought about turning that unexpected incident into a opportunity. When one door closes, another opens, and whatever it is that's causing delays in your life is fated. Was it really an accident? Your luck is about to change. You don't like change, tough shit. It's gonna change. We're all just players in one big chess game. Get out of your own way. Miracles happen every day. Do you respect the cycle of life? And how do you feel about getting older? With the presence of the Eight of Baskets here, there is the element of regret, a fear of the unknown, abandoning responsibilities and kind of wandering aimlessly. But I do feel like what's happening with you in terms of this new venture that you're about to set out on is that you are being divinely guided, and nothing, like the card says, happens as an accident. Everything happens for a reason. The Ten of Sticks also indicates in the reverse feeling burdened and overworked, and also debt, going into debt a little bit. And also for people who always feel like they put other people's feelings ahead of their own feelings. And so this particular layout is indicating that there is a sense of renewed hope while we learn to work with our ancestors and work with what they have in store for us. It's the ending of suffering, and that the worst is over, that you're going to get messages for good news. And if you do have a sense of depression or suffer from anxieties, to kind of get help for that if you need the help. And also, essentially, it is really about letting go of past situations, of past burdens, of feeling like in the past that you kind of listen to everybody else's direction but your own, and kind of put everybody else's feelings about things above your own. And basically, if you look at the way that the Nine of Knives is placed, looking directly at the ancestors, it's really about leaning on their understanding and their wisdom, whether or not that is taboo in the society that you live in. That is a great way to kind of navigate and have them inform your life, and kind of put your hand and believe in that, in fate in your life, and that fate is working in your life no matter what is going on, especially in terms of like the delays that you are having. What is at the subconscious of the situation is being represented here by the King of Pentacles and also the Judgment card in reverse. Okay, so subconscious, right? So it's not something that you might necessarily know about, but there is an element of a earth sign individual, a Virgo, a Capricorn, or a Taurus individual who is behaving in kind of like a negative way, right? So when the King of Pentacles is in reverse, and that represents an individual who's stubborn, who's a little bit rigid in their approach. They could be a little bit financially irresponsible, or with the Judgment card here pointing directly at the King in reverse. It's also a little bit of skewed judgment about finances, about the way to manage finances. This could be your energy. This could be someone that is around you, right? While this could be a person, this can also be a type of energy where you kind of put like money over your relationships, and that could be affecting your relationships, potentially causing a little bit of issue. Or it could really ask for you to take a look at your relationship that you have with money. Or again, this could be someone around you who is projecting their view or their relationship with money onto you, or even potentially judging your use of money as opposed to their use of money in their life. There is a sense of needing to do some sort of inner reflection, because there is like a really critical tone to the nature of this type of subconscious relationship. And like, again, this could be you, this could be your energy, or this could be someone that is around you, and only you will know the difference, right? The Seven of Pentacles is in the position of the past. And so this is the Seven of Pentacles is this idea there was a type of a break that was taken to basically relax and recharge and evaluate the position that you were in. And so this card actually is calling for you to really take stock of the work that you've been doing, and be proud of the work that you have accomplished so far, understanding that this is a break, taking the time to rest and kind of like recuperate and kind of enjoying the rewards and the fruits of your labor, but understanding that this is halfway through the battle, and that you can celebrate, but understand that there is still more work to come. But you also do want to celebrate your achievements right now, while taking stock again of where you've come from, how much work you've done, how much work you've put in to yourself and to the situation, and being proud of that, and taking the moment to be proud of that. You might have done that in the past, or you might be doing that currently, but this card is in the past position. And so I do kind of feel like you kind of looked at the situation prior to what's happening now, and felt really proud of how far you've come, and you should feel proud of how far you've come. The ultimate outcome, or the ultimate desire that you have for this outcome, is being represented by the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is like the most romantic knight or card in the deck. It really talks about romance. It really talks about the finer things in life. This is someone who is in touch with their emotions, that's in touch with their intuition, and while the Page of Cups just really has like a kind of like immature notion and just dreams up the ideas, the Knight of Cups is also about action, which really means that at the essence of this card, he really is about dreaming things up, coming up with these ideas in his mind, or just kind of having an idea or notion about having beautiful things around him, of acquiring beautiful things, and just living a life that he feels good about. But it's also about putting into action the things that need to be done in order to basically accomplish that goal. And so that is like your is your vision for this current situation, is to be able to dream of something or to want something, and then being able to do what needs to be done to acquire the thing that you've dreamt about. And while this card is a card that usually represents Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio individual, it really is a Venusian type of vibe, right? So it really is kind of representative of your energy with the sword present in the card. There is like this idea of romance and just being in love with your life and being able to have all the things that you dream about. In the future position, the card that is represented here is the Nine of Wands. And in the Nine of Wands, there is a person here who is represented by a wolf, who is assuming a defensive pose, right? And so basically this card is talking about a person that has come through a history of abuse, a history of being mistreated, and that has been conditioned to kind of react with aggression or distrust because he is defensive and because he has a history of having problems. It's kind of like his way of learning how to kind of like navigate in this world, being defensive at all times, especially to the fact that this card is kind of like looking at the King of Pentacles in reverse and also the Judgment card in reverse. I feel like there is the element of feeling defensive towards people who you feel are kind of like judging you or mistreating you, or you're getting like flashbacks of things that you've endured in the past. And so it brings out a sense of defensiveness and being guarded. And that is something that might come out in the future. Your current approach is being clarified as the Hangman in reverse. And that is basically talking about coming out of a period of kind of like waiting around and not really being sure about the decisions that you're going to be making. It could come out of a period of kind of like stalling and waiting for something to happen. And basically coming out of that period after kind of looking at everything and weighing everything out and looking at it from just different perspectives, making a decision to kind of move forward. This card in the traditional Rider-Waite deck is also, to me, representative of divine timing, of divine energy, of divine guidance. And so with the Hangman in reverse, it's really like the time where you're coming out of a period of delays and being frustrated and kind of just moving forward and making a decision to just kind of move forward. The cards that came out for what your current environment is the Four of Wands in the upright and also the Eight of Cups in the upright. And the Four of Wands is really like a celebratory kind of energy. It's a kind of energy that means that you're kind of like breaking free from the things that have kind of held you behind, but really but really like a celebratory vibe. This card, it actually kind of reminds me of the phoenix, of someone kind of like rising from the ashes. It's like rising up from the things that you felt like they were holding you behind, physically, mentally, spiritually, like stress about your finances or just emotionally, things that just kind of like really dealt with you on an emotional level, and kind of like escaping from those things and kind of embracing this new freedom where there's anything that's possible. This card is also indicative of like a celebration itself, which could be a graduation, get-togethers with family and friends. It could be a wedding, but it's also about stability, and it's also about happiness, accompanying with that like sense of freedom. And also the Eight of Cups is a card about moving on, letting old things go and leaving them to rest and kind of embarking on a new and exciting journey. In this particular rendition of the card, the baby octopus is kind of like leaving the nest, right? It's kind of outgrown old things and it's kind of moving on into the unknown. And just trying to like really discover new things. It really does have that Page of Wands vibe that kind of came out in the beginning of the card as being the current situation. And so like you get this sense of like navigating from this space of delays and being uncertain, but really actually tapping into spirit and allowing spirit to guide you, and just really sitting out on a path where you can enjoy what life has to offer, taking calculated risks, but really listening to what spirit has for you, and continuing on this journey in your life and leaving like old patterns and old behaviors. Like I said, working with your ancestors to kind of get rid of old patterns and cycles in your life, and tapping into what might be taboo, which is a spirit veneration, and just allowing spirit to move and inform you and kind of helping you to step out of your comfort zone. What you should know is being represented by the Ace of Wands. And this is really just talking about having the courage and taking the initiative to take bold new steps. It's about risk taking, taking advantage of opportunities that can be presented to you, kind of like leaning into being fun and spontaneous, really being confident as you navigate through this new aspect of your life. Like I said, with spirit, like on your side. This card can also talk about concentrating and focusing your intention and energy on the things that you want to do, especially if you are an artist or if you're a writer. This is like a pen that is used to basically write some beautiful things. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, is being a writer, then this is like a nudge in that direction. The parchment itself is a message that talks about new ideas, new opportunities. It can also talk about birth. It can also talk about children. And that is also kind of like a doubling down of the Four of Wands energy that just came out. So there is a lot of Wands energy in this card. So really kind of like really going on like an exciting journey in this life, tapping into your passions, getting familiar with spirit, and really just kind of moving out of a space of being stuck and kind of like blazing forward. So this is like really amazing energy to kind of be embodying at this time. And so in the final position, for the final outcome, we have the Eight of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Anant card, and also the Queen of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is kind of representing an idea of striking when the hammer is hot, right? The Eight of Pentacles refers to continuing to do the hard work and continuing to be diligent about the work that needs to be done, required to kind of like succeed in this life. It also is talking about advancing your knowledge, learning new skills. Like I said, there's an idea of going back to school, kind of like bettering yourself and pushing the boundaries in your life. The Hierophant card is really a card that talks about institutions. It talks about spirituality. And so really this card also in conjunction with the Eight of Pentacles is really talking about continue on the spiritual path that you're on. The Anand card is kind of unique to this deck, which is talking about like this unknown factor. It's almost like the Wheel of Fortune. It's like the Destiny card. It's really just relying on spirit outside of yourself, but growing in the element of kind of evolving as a human being, but also being able to tap into spirit. And this is in relationship to the Queen of Pentacles, which is present here also. The Queen of Pentacles is being represented, is representative of a Virgo, a Capricorn, or a Taurus individual who is caring, who is nurturing, who really is looking to build. This could be your energy. It could be someone that's in your energetic field. But really the combination of all these cards is really talking about continuing to work towards tapping into your spiritual growth and kind of like acquiring advanced knowledge on a spiritual plane, but also looking at the institutions in terms of religion that you are involved in. Like I said, the Taboo card came out in the first spread, and so this could be talking about tapping into religious practices that are outside of the norm for you and that might be considered taboo within your family structure, but honoring your ancestors is really seeming like the path that you're kind of going on, but and honoring and listening to them. There is also the element of marriage, specifically with a Queen of Pentacles individual. That is something that's also there with the Four of Wands card present, and also the Ace of Wands card present. There is a sense of like a family unit. There is a sense of children, of the celebrations, of births, and really like doing the work to kind of cultivate that type of environment, celebrating the wins that you have now and understanding that there are more wins and there are more things to celebrate in the coming, coming up. But also this is a part of the cycle that you will be completing. You're part of a small cog in a part of a larger cog. Like I said, this is talking about setting up things now, learning from your past to inform your present, but also to inform your future. And this includes children, and like the book said, it also includes grandchildren, right? And great grandchildren. So I've been doing advice cards, but honestly, I don't think you guys need it. This reading is hella long. And I really feel like it kind of wrapped everything up, with the Celtic cross deck. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Please leave a comment down below and let me know how this is manifesting in your life and at what stage you're in. Share this reading with someone that is a Libra that you feel could benefit from the message here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for post notifications. Thank you so much again for listening. I really appreciate you, and I will see you soon, Libras.